Question number 11. A ship leaves point A, sails for 6.2 on a bearing of 90, then turns and sails on a bearing of 224 until it reaches C, which is due south of port A. So if it is due south, that means we have a perfectly straight line here, another right angle. Calculate the distance between the point C and A. So we know that all the way around there is 224 degrees. We also know in here is 90 degrees. So if I do 224 plus 90, and then I take that away from 360, I find that this angle in here is 46 degrees. I now have a right angle triangle, an angle and a side, so we know this is trigonometry. This is the hypotenuse. X is what I'm trying to find, which is the opposite side, and this is the adjacent. So I have the equation that the tan of 46 is equal to x divided by 6.2, opposite divided by adjacent. So tan 46 times 6.2 equals x. So tan 46 times 6.2. So I find that 6.4 miles would be the distance between A and C. So fill in the missing values. Minus 1 cubed is minus 1, plus 6 would be 5. 2 cubed is 8, plus 6, 14, and then draw the graph. So minus 2 would be here. Minus 1, 5 would be here. 0, 6 would be here. 1, 7 would be here. 2, 14 would be here. And 3, 33 would be all the way up here. And then this has to be a curve as it is a cubic graph. Faye wants to solve the equation equal to 10. So these are identical, the equation they give us and the equation we're trying to solve. So we draw a line across at 10. We read off that value and that will solve the equation for us. It says you do not need to find the solution, so we don't need to do that, but we are showing how we would through that graph. So the Egyptians built right pyramids. This is a pyramid that has a square base measuring 230 by 230, 230 by 230. The vertical height, so right through the middle we have 146, makes its way from the ground along with the sloping edges. Calculate the length of his path. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use Pythagoras to find out the base of it. So I'm going to do 230 squared plus another 230 squared is going to be equal to the diagonal there, which we'll call y. So that's equal to y squared. So 230 squared plus 230 squared. So we have that 105800 equals y squared. So then we square root the answer. So we do square root of 105800. So we find that across the bottom we have 325.27 meters. Everything's been measured to the nearest meter, so we're going to call that approximately 325 meters. Now, halfway across, so if we look at another triangle then, we know it's 146 tall. We're trying to find x, and this point here is going to be halfway across that line. So we're going to divide 325 by 2, and we now know the bottom is 162.5. So Pythagoras' theorem again in this case, we're going to get 146 squared plus 162.5 squared is equal to x squared. So 47722.25 equals x squared. And again, we square root that and we find then that he's travelled 218 meters to the nearest meter. Question 14. So we have a parallelogram and a rectangle. The width and information is given to us. Show that the area of the two is satisfied by this. So the area of the rectangle is going to be x times x plus 3. And then we're going to add to that the area of this, which is the x plus 3, times by the height between, which is 2x plus 3. And we know that's equal to 70. Now I'm going to expand the brackets, so I get x squared plus 3x plus, here I'm going to have to use FOIL, so I get 2x squared plus 3x plus 6x plus 9 equals 70. I have 3x squareds altogether. I have 3x, 3x and 6x, which gives me 12x. And I have plus 9 equals 70. Now I'm going to bring the 70 over, so I'm going to get 3x squared plus 12x, And then 9 minus 70 is minus 61 equals 0, which is what I'm trying to show. Use the quadratic formula, so I'm going to have a equals 3, b equals 12, and c equals minus 61. The formula tells me that x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. So, we have minus 12 plus or minus the square root of 12 squared minus 4 times 3 times minus 61, all divided by 2 times 3. So in the bracket, I'm going to get, if I work all this out, I'm going to get that my two possible outcomes are that x equals minus 12 plus the square root of 876 divided by 6, or x equals minus 12 minus the square root of 876 divided by 6. So my two x values are 2.93, so we'll say 2.9 centimeters, and then the other option was minus 12 minus the square root of 876, all divided by 6, which comes to minus 6.9. Now we can't have a minus length, so x must be equal to 2.9, and don't forget it's asking for the length of the rectangle, so the length was x plus 3, so the overall length is our 2.9 plus 3, which is 5.9 centimeters. Question 15, find the angle PBQ. So we need to find this angle here, which I'm going to call theta. Now, this I have three sides, so I'm going to use the cosine rule, and I'm going to rename my letters. This is A, and then this becomes B, and we're going to call this C. So in my triangle, I have cos of A is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared divided by 2bc for this triangle here. So I get the cos of A is equal to, now B is 6.2, C is 5.8, and A is 8.6, all divided by 2 times 5.8 times 6.2. So I can type that into my calculator. So I get 6.2 squared plus 5.8 squared minus 8.6 squared equals, and I'm going to divide that by 2 times, I think I've done that wrong, 6.2 squared plus 5.8 squared minus 8.6 squared, divide that by 2 times 5.8 times by 6.2, and then I'm going to do shift cos of that angle. So I find that this angle here, so if I do cos to the minus 1 of all of that lot to find A, and I find that that's 91.5 degrees. So this one's 91.5. I can use sine rule in this one to find this angle here. So I get that the sine of A divided by 4.1 is equal to the sine of 72 divided by 7.5. And then I can take 4.1 up, so I find that the sine of A equals sine 72 times 4.1 divided by 7.5. And then I'm going to do shift sine as well, and I find that the A in this case is 31.3 degrees. So that's 31.3 here, and I know these three add up to 180, so I can do 180 minus 91.5 minus 31.3. So that comes to 57.2, and it says to the nearest degree, so that's a 57 degree angle. Last question, a sketch of tan is shown above. Circle the correct answer. B equals, well, they're showing that B there is obviously a right angle, and that is given tan as an answer of 1. So when I do tan of something on the calculator, it's coming out as 1. That's what this is telling me. So I'm going to do shift tan of 1, which comes out at 45, so the answer is 45 degrees. C is when I put 0, so I do tan of 0 on my calculator, which comes out as 0, so it is 0 degrees.